be thou known. For I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God, and I will strengthen thee. Yeah, I will help thee, and I will uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness. And I will uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness.
Welcome, everyone. I am excited here to be with you today. Excited probably isn't the best word, but I am deeply enthused and inspired and grateful. Thank you for making time out of your day to come and be with Jessie and I. Jessie, thank you so much for just being here and everything that you've created and are creating. And this is going to be an amazing conversation today. We have, I think, where are the numbers? I think there's hundreds on right now. So this is going to be a lot of fun.
Amazing. So exciting. Thank you so much for everyone for being here. I am excited.
So just to share a little bit about, I feel like what I want to do is, so Jessie and I have been working on all the technical stuff here right up until the last minute, as it always goes, right? There's always stuff to do. But what we have here is a new container that's opening up and led by Jessie and the work that she's bringing through, that is coming through her. She has already, as of last year, co-created a container called Mystic Misfits with, I think, around, there's more than 8,000 people already part of that project with one that you created, right, Jessie?
Yeah, there is. I think there is. I think it's just under 8,000. Yeah.
And her Instagram is blowing up. Look up I am Jessie K on Instagram. Since I've known her since about last November, December, around the time that I produced the Awaken the Christ Within Summit, I came across Jessie, and it was too late to get her in the summit. But then, I just noticed that her posts, many of them just were striking people, touching people so deeply that I think she's increased her following almost double in the time that I've known her. So in that summit a few months ago, the deepest question that I had was, okay, how do we make this real? How do we make this potential timeline real? How do we operate on the higher and the deeper aspect of who we are, so that we're not performing, we're not trying to, earn our way, we're able to forgive ourselves and others at a deep level, to move from conceptually being able to forgive to actually embodied. And as I came across Jessie's work, and also Juan, who works with her on Mystic Misfits, I just more and more got a deeper sense, like you'll get to know Jessie. She's extremely personable, a mother of four, down to earth, hilarious, and irreverent at times. But Jessie, one of the things I love about you is just that you have a heart for people, and you have a heart for Yeshua, for Jesus and his teachings, and for embodying and being present amongst the messes of life. So before we dive in, I just wanted to acknowledge keep your comments coming. So good to see everyone. Let us know if you haven't already commented. Let us know where you're calling in from, and something that's on your heart today, what the vibe is in your own experience today. And if you want to share, what's one thing you're looking to get out of this masterclass today? And we will, in the last third of this, we'll dive into some of the questions and comments and get more interactive. But for in the meantime, definitely fully open communication channel on the chat. So welcome into everyone again. Jessie, is there anything that you want to start with?
What do I want to start with? I think there's a lot of people here from maybe even awakening to Christ, and probably a lot of people that know you, Josh. So I guess starting in with, how do we get here in this moment on April 2nd? Because I feel like we had such a beautiful intention to like birth this so much earlier, and then things just kept happening. And I am, if you were to describe me, somebody who has learned through lived experience to fly by the seat of her pants. That is truly who I am. I had cancer when I was 9, and it was this experience where it was the first time I really realized no matter what was going to happen in my life, I was still divinely held. Like there was not one moment, even with the prognosis that we did get that was not good, um, that I thought I'm gonna die. I was like, no, I'm gonna be fine. My mom's over there having a panic attack in the corner, and I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna be fine. And I was fine. And like that was the first at 9 years old an experience of like, okay, I'm divinely helped. Like no matter what is happening, I still have God holding me in some capacity. And so I think the rest of my life, though although there have been ups and downs, have been just more micro lessons around that idea that if I surrender, if I let what's happening move through me, that it's all leading me exactly where I need to be. And so that's kind of what happened with getting to this moment right now where we're sitting in front of you, because I had a beautiful intention to get this out like a month ago. And then God was like, does it want to be a month ago? Because Jess got in a car accident. And all these things continued to happen to be like, okay, Josh and I really wanted to birth this thing. And I'm like, you know what? We just gotta, there's a reason why it's happening, why it's getting pushed, why it's not right this second. And I really feel like the reason is Easter. What does Easter mean to everyone? What I don't know if you want to drop in the chat what you think Easter is. What does it mean to you? Because it probably meant something very different to me if you had asked me a little over a year ago, and it means something very, very different now.
What does it mean to you now, Jessie?
Well, but I don't even know. Like back a year ago, it was just a day that I celebrated. Now it truly is. It's almost to the day, because for me, Easter was the moment where everything changed. It was a new beginning. It was a rebirth for those that are saying that in the comments. It was on Easter Sunday of last year was like my ego death, like my actual ego death, where I was like, you know what? You can have my entire life, God. You can have all of it. And I will like fully be led by the seat of my pants. I will fully do whatever you tell me to. And I call it ego death, but as you will see as we move through this, it's not about death, it's about integration. And that's where we get it wrong, is we feel like it's this we have to die of. But I had to die of my old identity. And so last Easter I felt called to really do something very different, and I sat with myself. I had been in the process of knowing I was a personal trainer, I was a women's health coach, I was like trying to go pro in bodybuilding, and everything was going really well. And in that moment, and like the month leading up to Easter, I was like, okay, I felt like there was so much tension inside of my home, and we'll just leave that as due to politics. And
Mhm.
I was like, I can't change, I can't have these open discussions. I can't change anyone's mind, but I can go inwards and I can change how I feel in here, and I can be more present in my body. And that's what I did. And I started doing meditation. I would wake up at 4 a.m. and I would meditate for an hour, and then I would go down and I would eat my food, and I would go and I would then go to the gym, and I'd be back and I'd take my youngest to preschool, and then I'd come back and I'd do some work. And it was like my whole day was like I was trying to, if I do something it's 110%, I was trying to do that at 110%. And I was studying Reiki at the time, and I was like, okay, I feel like there's this like Christ-centered Reiki modality that's trying to be birthed through me. That's what I thought. Like I was trying to make meaning of the thing that was going on. And on Easter, I decide, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do Easter different. And so I come up to my room and I light some candles and I do some breath work. and I journal for probably like 20 minutes, just like all of the stuff that's in the way that's telling me you can't do this, like all of these self-worth, all of these like, why are you even trying? What are you doing? And I journal, and then I go into a little Reiki session, and that was it. It was like, okay, it was Easter for me was the moment where I'm like, I'm not going to carry this anymore. And then the next day is Monday, and I have a full crash out. I feel like that was really my ego death, if we're being fair. I have a full crash out on my kitchen floor, and I'm bawling because I'm eating at that point almost 4,000 calories a day because I am like full on bodybuilding, and I am doing the meditation, doing all these things. I have like a full crash out on the kitchen floor, and I'm crying, and my husband's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna be fine." Like I know I'm at this like beautiful moment of, I am so fortunate to be stuck at this crossroad where I'm like, this thing, this like this dream that I have, this physical dream that I have, I can achieve it. Like I'm doing all of the things, I'm checking all of the boxes. I've found the perfect coach. I could do this. It's going amazing. But then on the other side, I'm like, God's telling me to go do something else. Like, I have no idea what God is telling me to do over here, but He's telling me, you got to go that way. And I'm crying there, like, probably for 5, 10 minutes. And then I look up at my husband and I'm like, I'm firing my coach. And he's like, okay. At this point, he's very used to me flying by the seat of my pants because about 2 years prior, we had moved 1,600 kilometers away, or 1,000 miles, on a whim. God is telling me to go that way. Let's go. So I mean, at this point, he's used to me being insane, and I'm like, I'm firing my coach. I'm giving up everything. This is it. And he's like, okay. And at that point, I'm like, the next day I have this beautiful, I'm like in this divine creative flow. I start my podcast. I'm like, I record 3 episodes. It's like so amazing. And then I get to the end of the day and it's like initiation mode. And all of a sudden it's 5 p.m. and I'm sitting at the precipice of like, am I going to do the bodybuilding thing? Because I've now spent the entire day at my desk and I still have, 5,000 steps left to do. But I also just told myself I was giving up this thing. Am I going to go and do the Reiki that I said, like, this is the priority now, like this spiritual path, whatever God is telling me to do? Or am I going to go walk around the house and chant walking around the house in my head, like my husband used to do when our toddler was a baby? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do the Reiki. And I'm sitting there having a panic attack, having the panic attack of like, who am I to? Who am I to do this? I don't know the Bible off by heart. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, who am I to think that I can create some sort of like modality that I can even like do energy healing on people and like teach them to do this in a beautiful Christ-centered way? Who am I to do this? And I go into that self-healing Reiki session and I've had so much energy in my chest. And I just sit there and I channel that light energy into my heart into my solar plexus until it's just fully integrated and I'm at peace. And then I'm like, okay, is there anything else? And I just feel like this, put your hands on your lap. And so I put them there in this like receiving mode. And all of a sudden I see Jesus, Yeshua, walk up, and it's like the silhouette and it's pure light. And I'm going to cry. I can't even describe how it wasn't even the seeing, like the vision didn't matter. It was the way I was hit with unconditional love in a way that, as a mother of 4, you would think that I had felt this before. I had not. And I'm just like so overwhelmed. There's like literal water pouring out of my eyes. My throat starts burning. And I'm sitting there and I'm like trying to speak. And I'm like, okay, whatever you're telling me, wherever you're leading me, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it. Like, I am fully giving this up. I'm giving up my beautiful business that I built. I'm giving up everything I am. And wherever you're leading me, I'm like choking on my words now and then and can barely get any out. And he walks over and puts his hands on my throat. And I put my hands on my throat until that burning finally dissipates. And that was the moment where everything changed, because that for me, it took me like another 6 weeks to realize, holy shit, that's how they describe Pentecost. Like, is that what happened? Was that the Holy Spirit answering me? And then it took me a lot longer to be like, holy shit, I'm getting these revelations that don't make any sense coming into my awareness. And I'm just like receiving these downloads of like, you got to do this. Last summer, I probably like had so many downloads around these things, these courses and things that had to be birthed. And I was like, I'm not worthy of this. I'm not going to do it. I don't even know. I don't trust myself yet.
I can relate to that.
Yes, definitely. And so, yeah, Easter for me will forever be this 3-day initiation process where I fully, like, I went in, did this beautiful ceremony, then crashed out on my kitchen floor the next day and decided, okay, I'm going to give this up. And then the next day was the initiation of like, are you going to give it up or are you just tough? And I think that's where a lot of us get stuck is you understand Christ consciousness or whatever you're going to call it, or you understand like the non-duality of we are all one or we are all love. But like, are you walking the walk? Are you actually embodying the thing? And that's what I was asked in that moment. I was like, okay, are you, so you're still, you may have said you were going to pick this path, but you're still at this, prove it.
Mhm.
You need to prove, are you going to do it? And I literally gave up everything. I stopped promoting for my business, and I slowly, like as clients were finishing their programs, I didn't try to get more. I gave up everything, and I continued um, flying by the seat of my pants. I think that there are two very distinct ways, the masculine and the feminine, of how we interact with the quantum. Like I'm going to use just whatever language, quantum field. I am Christ consciousness, God. How we interact with um, that energy, and one of them is masculine, where we go and we sit and we seek, and we're like, okay, give me some guidance here. Or even like if you're looking at even manifestation is that same thing where you're saying, okay, I really want this, and you're surrendering the outcome and how you get there and the expectation, but you're putting it out there and you're seeking, right? And then there's the feminine, which is full on freaking surrender.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in that surrender is full receptivity. And I feel like that's where I have lived my life since that moment. I'm very the way I just receive ideas. I allow myself to be guided into just why we're sitting here at this moment where it ended up being the perfect time to do all of this. Because all of the energies just kind of aligned perfectly. And yeah, I that's how I'm constantly led. I get downloads. It took me a really long time to then trust them, to be like, oh, these things that are coming in. I would sit and I would wait. Like I would get the knowing coming in, and it wouldn't make sense, and it would be verbal diarrhea coming out, but it would eventually, like, I'd be able to make sense of it. But then from that point, I would sit there and I'd be like, I can't share this until I have proof. Like, let me find it in the Bible. Like, I'm sitting there reading all of these books, trying to be like, okay, but where is what I already feel in my body? Like, where is this connection, these divine knowings and this divine felt sense that I feel? Where does it live somewhere else? So somebody else can tell me first that it's okay to have this experience. So it took a really long time to get past that, because we don't realize in that moment where you're sitting there and you're waiting for me to tell you exactly how to feel this, I can't do that for you.
Yeah.
I don't want to be your authority. I don't want to take your sovereignty, and you are handing it to me if that's what you're expecting in this. I am here to give you a safe container to start feeling and trusting and stepping into that union within you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. I'm not here to tell you exactly how to feel and how this should look like for you. I'm here to be the container that holds you.
Thank you so much for that, Jessie, and just for being so open and intimate with your share about that life-changing experience. In a moment, we're going to get into sharing an experience and sharing sacred space with Jessie's guidance as a group. And I also just wanted to touch on that theme of like worthiness and the theme of like intimacy, and AKA vulnerability, right? Although I think I prefer the term intimacy. A friend was reflecting to me a while ago, like it just has a different connotation, vulnerability means, oh, if I'm open, I'm vulnerable to being hurt. But you facilitate breathwork sessions and coaching and coursework, and you just finished Jung and Jesus, Carl Jung and Jesus, a crossover 6-week process, which was amazing. And on this past Monday, and I shared a clip of this, and many of you watching this saw this clip that I shared. I was extremely uncomfortable sharing that clip because it was like after this breathwork session where I just feel this amplification of both, let's say, the light aspect and the shadow aspect, or the expansion and the compression aspect. And I just started tearing up. Like I couldn't hold it back. And I love that you reflect to me and to everyone that you work with, and whether it's one-on-one or in a container like this, like that it's all okay, and that you don't have to try to be better. You don't have to perform. What comes up is coming up for a reason, and I can actually feel safe not to try to like suppress or judge the shadow or the lower emotions that emerge, and that feeling of not good enough and not worthy. Because the more that I'm open about this, the more it's like almost everyone on the path at some point, either now or at some point, deals with things like core level identity, core level worthiness. Who am I to? So I just want to, not martyr myself in that regard. That's not why I put that clip out there, but just to be open and say, we're all going through this shit right now. If we're going to be honest with ourselves, like we're all core level moving through it. And the safety, which like you invite people into, and like that sense of non-judgment, especially if you're coming from either a religious background like I am, or if you're coming from like maybe like a spiritual but not religious or new age background where things tend to be more about image, right? This safety that we're invited into in this next phase of your work and creating in the world is really significant. And so we're going to learn more about, like, you're going to get a sense of an invitation towards the end of this masterclass towards this container being extended into a longer experience for those of you that want to choose that and resonate. But Jessie, is there anything else you want to kind of just add in quickly before we get into the presentation and also this shared experience, this sacred space that we're going to drop in together on?
No, I feel like it's all about, I think what I've really come to realize, people always want to go back to like the mental and like the logic and like, oh, well, I thought that, but then logically this, but it's to me, God is experiential. Even if you pick up the Bible, what you're essentially reading is Gnosticism at its core. And when I say Gnosticism, I don't mean like a Nag Hammadi text, which is also Gnosticism, but Gnosticism at its true core is the experience with God, your own inner experience with God that somebody wrote down in a journal, and now you've believed everything they say, and now you think it has to look that way. And so the realization is like it has always been about creating that relationship within yourself. Not that there isn't a beautiful things to learn from in there. There's beautiful things in so many different layered levels. But all of the traditions and religions and everything are pointing back to the same thing, that we are all from the same energy. We all return to that same energy. And we're just in here trying to remember that. And you remember that through felt sense. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is we're going into the body. We're going to feel it first. And then I'm going to just share this. I think we already kind of touched on a little bit of this, but I think Josh might have to allow me to see the slides here because I can't hit them.
Jump in. I just saw a question here as you're finding the share. Carol asks, please, what's the meaning of "to" in your title? Who am I to? Like, who am I to do X, Y, Z? Who am I to step into this vision, or this actually manifest and walk out and make real this inspiration that I woke up with, that seems to conflict with an old version of myself and the self-image of myself that I've held before? Is that it? Would you add anything to that, Jessie?
Yeah, that's what it is for sure. It's who am I to even, like, I don't have the credentials. I don't have I don't know what credentials you need to work with God, but I felt like I needed some sort of I needed to be an expert in the Bible, is what I thought in that moment. I needed to be going to school and studying it. And I was like, who am I to even consider like allowing myself to be led in this way and doing whatever is being called to me? What gives you the authority to do this? Yes, exactly. What gives me the authority? You give
Mhm.
yourself the authority. Yes. How can I have a relationship with God if I am one with the Creator? How can I have a relationship with God if I am one with the Creator? That's an interesting question. And I'm thinking how that is even phrased. You are one, but I think there's still a relationship. Do you not have a relationship with yourself? It's interesting because we're going to slightly touch on this. So I'm going to wait until we get further into
Yep.
the slides because we'll touch a little bit on relational.
Thank you. I'm just going to turn your mic up a little bit, Jessie, so that people can hear you a bit better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Take it away. From here, is the next thing that you feel called to do right now, like that, the holding space and that shared experience, or do you want to go into your slides? I'll leave that to you.
Yes, let's go into the slides, just the first two. I think we've kind of already touched on it, but it would be nice to maybe see it. I know you kind of touched on it a little bit. So we're going to go back to all the way at the beginning. Where did it? Oh, there we go. There. Okay. So I mean, Josh has already touched on this a little bit, but who is this for? And this is for if you have three or more, or maybe even just one that you really resonate with, but three is like you are here, you're in the right place. If you feel a real connection to something sacred, but you have nowhere legitimate to take it. You've sensed that the institution has lied. Maybe you feel burnt by it, that you don't know where to go next. Maybe you're in the middle of the deconstruction process. You're done with religion, but not done with Jesus. Done with New Age, done with the bypassing, but not done with the spirit of it, right? You want depth, rigor, nervous system safety, and zero dogma. You want real community and people who go deep and laugh at themselves. I always laugh at myself. So
Jesse, is it showing blue for you? I have a blue overlay over this particular slide.
I can see it. No,
Does any?
I can
Okay,
see
that's
it
just
anyways.
never mind. I clicked on the wrong thing. I'll mute myself. Go for it.
That's good. We love it. So what becomes possible in this space, and we're going to feel it in the body, is what real transformation looks like when it's not just a concept, it's not just understood up here, which I think is where we all get stuck. Like you get the thing, but it's not, why aren't we doing it? Why, like I understand non-duality, but I'm not actually putting my money where my mouth is. There's no more oscillation. There's no more cycling between these spiritual highs and ordinary lows. There's nervous system safety. At the beginning of all of this, one of my first revelations was like, we were never meant to regulate on our own. Like think about children. They don't regulate on their own. They expect an adult, which let's be honest, most adults can't regulate themselves, to co-regulate with them. And the fact of the matter is that doesn't end. You don't stop needing a co-regulatory partner. You now allow yourself to be held by the divine, by God. Shadow plus sacred. You can hold both. So if you're expecting to come out of this all light and all love and light, that's not what it is. You get to hold, you build the capacity to hold the paradox every single day within you. You are both light and shadow. You stop looking at the ego as an enemy and you start actually integrating it within yourself and your own knowing. You stop outsourcing that authority. I think if I had to sum up the work that I am trying to birth into the world, it's sovereignty, my own sovereignty. And somebody asked a question earlier that was kind of similar to this, but the idea of the divine within me bows to the divine within you. Namaste, right? That is all about at the end of the day, can I find my sovereignty? Because from a sovereign place, I can bow to the sovereignty within someone else. I'm sovereign, so I don't need to convince you that my truth is the absolute truth for me to feel validated. And that's what we're doing. We're all out here feeling like we have to convince everyone else to feel validated. And I'm guilty of it. I just told you that. I was guilty of that at the very beginning, very much so, always looking for someone else to validate what I was getting in. That it was like, how do I know this thing? There were times where I would get downloads and it was like advanced psychological patterns that I'm like, I shouldn't know this. I've never studied it. What is going on? And then I'm like, well, I need to find out. I think we all have that potential of like in that receptivity, tapping into all of the source truth. So yes, that's where we're going. And we are going in right now. We are going to meet that. My mouse now doesn't want to work. We're good. We're going in. So I'm going to invite you to find yourself a nice, comfortable position, because before we go anywhere into deeper chit chats, I want us to go in. We're going to come all the way in. So I invite you to find yourself a nice, comfortable position. You can stay seated or you can lie down if you want. If you're sitting, make sure your feet are nice and flat on the floor, or you could be cross-legged if you want. Just making sure your spine is nice and long. Let your hands fall wherever feels natural. Maybe it's your belly, your heart. Maybe it's just open, receiving on your thighs. We're just going to arrive here together right now, right here. Let's take one breath in through the nose together, nice and slow, all the way into your belly. And we're gonna slowly exhale it out through the mouth. Again, in and feeling that chest rise, your belly expands. Let it take up space and release. One more time, all the way in. Let everything go on the exhale. Every thought from today, every version of yourself that had to show up for someone else. Now from this place, if you haven't done so already, close your eyes. We're going to bring our awareness to our feet. I want you to start feeling your roots. Feel them growing down from the base of your spine, from the soles of your feet, down through the floor, whatever's beneath you, through the foundation, through the soil, down, down, follow them all the way down into the core of the earth. Feel how deep they go. And at the center of the earth, there's a light. It's warm, steady, and alive. It might be golden, maybe it's amber, or a deep red, or a green. I want you to let whatever color is coming in for you just land here. Let it be whatever it wants to be. And now with each breath, as you inhale, we're going to draw that light up through your roots, up through the earth, up through the soles of your feet, through your legs, your hips, your belly, your spine. Breathe that light up. Breathe her up and up until that light settles into your heart center, right in the middle of your chest. Let it pool there. That ground beneath you is not empty. It never was. It was always available to you. And from this rooted and held place, begin to feel your awareness rising. Not your body, not that light, just your awareness. The part of you that can witness without being consumed, without creating a narrative. Let it rise up through the room you're in, up through the roof, out into the sky. And from there, it moves through the emotional field. Feel how much love exists here, how much longing. We're going to keep rising through the mental, the patterns, the architecture of how things come to be. Keep letting that awareness rise into pure light, pure frequency, the place where separation dissolves and there's only consciousness. And here you may sense something vast. Something that has no name. No name that can fully hold it. You can call it God, call it Source, call it the I Am. Call it whatever feels true for you. Just allow yourself to be in it for a moment. And now we're going to bring that light back down with you. Not leaving this consciousness behind. We're going to bring it home. You can make it whatever color feels right. Maybe it's the same color as the earth light. Maybe it's different. And as we exhale, letting it land deeper and deeper, letting it come down through the sky, back into the room, back into your body, all the way back down into your heart. Feel it land there for a second. The earth energy rising from below, the divine descending from above, both of them meeting right here in the center of your chest. This is the sacred marriage. Earth and heaven, matter and spirit, human and divine, merging inside you right now. Not as a concept, as an actual lived experience in your body. This is what the word becoming flesh actually means. It's not a theological argument. It's this, what you're feeling right now. You were always the meeting point. Now, keeping your eyes closed, we're going to bring both hands to the heart. Left hand first, closest to the skin. Right hand on top. Begin to just feel that energy. Maybe feel your own heartbeat here, that faithful, tireless beating that has never once stopped for you. Take a deep breath in through the nose, and on our exhale, we're gonna hum it out. Let whatever sound comes through come. It could be more of a hum, more of a tone, an ah. Don't think, just let your body make sound here. With each exhale, feeling the energy in your heart, that merged energy rise and expand around you. Breathe in and tone out. One more time, really feel that sound vibrating in your chest and your sternum, in every cell of your heart center. Just come back to your regular breath pattern, and now just feel how expanded that space is now, how alive it feels. That's not something that I did. That's you. That has always been you. It's always accessible to you. And from this place, this open-rooted, heart-centered place, we're going to get into a little bit of the teaching. Because the word does not become flesh in your head, it becomes flesh here in the body. So when you're ready, you can open your eyes, come back to the room, and just stay in this beautiful presence. Before we get into another slide, I invite you to just notice, maybe you want to drop in the chat, what it feels like to be in this state. How does it feel different? What is coming up when you're in this place of expansion? When you realize that that meeting point was always within you. Home, effortless. You were always the meeting point. I always love when a good breath work gives you some tingly feet. You feel expanded and bigger and present. Beautiful. More grounded. I'm going to mute my mic for 2 seconds while I raise my desk. I can't sit any longer.
I also just want to invite everyone to, feel into what it's like to do this in a group like this, with being held not only by our guide, Jessie, but everyone else. Some of us, this is normal to come online regularly. Even some of you are in a group container, but share in the chat if you like. What do you feel? Do you feel boosted energetically? Is there something, even a sensation that feels stronger just doing this in a group? Also want to invite everyone to intentionally expand your love
Mm.
to include everyone in the group if it hasn't already automatically happened. Just take a moment and do that intentionally.
Beautiful. We have somebody saying, I feel nothing. I never do. That is, I would say right now, that practice is very much like building the capacity to hold. And so when we can't, not that there's right or wrong to then I can't tell you how you're meant to feel it, but sometimes the work really starts with creating the safety in the body. And when I think about where I'm at now, like the last year was effortless to like fully surrendering my entire business that I've been doing really well to sitting here like being like, God, do me whatever I want. I mean, if you had told someone that you were going to do that, they would lock you up. Yeah, I should be in a straitjacket, you know? Um, but what I realized is that the reason why it was so effortless for me is because I did the self-worth and the self-love and the working on compassion, self-acceptance, like radical self-acceptance. I did that for many years before getting to this point. And so a lot of times it's like the foundational, how do I create safety within myself first so that I can actually feel this? And there's no right or wrong. Like I said, I spent years doing it before getting to this point. It's just in hindsight that I'm like, why was this so easy? Oh, because it wasn't so easy. It's easy now, but I actually spent the last decade doing this work. Not that I want you to be doing this for a decade. Now we can streamline it. I've been doing this outside myself for years: yoga, breathwork, meditation, exercise, relationships. But it feels like remembering. It's beautiful. I had to take the expectation of what I thought it should. Yes, that is exactly. You have to take, I think we forget as humans that what really disappoints us when we're like, oh, it's the expectation, right? Like if you're manifesting something, or even this container that we've created, if I had sat here and I was like, I want this, this, and that, and it has to be on this day and it has to look like this, and I have to be wearing purple, I don't know, then getting to this point now where it doesn't go exactly how I think it should be. I haven't released that expectation over to God, over to the higher self, power source, whatever you're calling it. I literally also believe that the only thing as humans we're doing is fighting over labels, and I'm over it. So please insert whatever label feels good for you. But at the end of the day, it's all about coming back home. And if I had set all these expectations, then no matter what, I'd be disappointed. So the surrender of like, what is it supposed to look like? Because somebody's going to tell you, hey, like me, I just told you I had this beautiful experience with Yeshua, Jesus, and I like saw him and I cried and like I felt full love, and I get to have these moments all the time in my life. And the way I experienced the quantum field went from not trusting myself to now like changing diapers and having like downloads. But that might not look like that way for you. It could be a felt sense. It could be a vision. It could be so many different things. So take what you're hearing from people and release the expectation, because it's supposed to be so beautifully and uniquely for you. I've been fearful of doing this alone. Well, I'm so glad that you are here and you got to do it with all of us. Working on feeling in my body now. I hired a somatic therapist to help me, and it's been great. Yes, that's beautiful. Deep love is also painful. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So let's see if we can get into this. We're going to get into a little bit of the word became flesh. All right. So you already know this isn't a knowledge problem. I mean, a lot of you probably have had, you know, all the things, you know, everything I'm saying. I'm sure you do know many of the things that I'm saying. Maybe you've either heard it in some way within an institution or within New Age, wherever you're coming from. We're all just trying to come home. I think like my favorite thing to say is that we're all here just witnessing and walking each other home. And in the self-worth piece, what I've really come to realize is that I was waiting for somebody to be certain before me. I was waiting to hand over that sovereignty. And now I get to be in a place where I'm like, I'm just going to, whatever's coming through, I'm going to share it, because I could be somebody else is waiting to hear my thing. So they finally find their sovereignty and say, okay, I can trust myself. But that means it's not a knowledge problem. It's not a logic problem. You've probably read all these books. And the question isn't about what you know. The question is, why doesn't it hold up when life actually tests you? Solid lived experience. Why doesn't it hold up? This morning, my husband does not do the work. So that's wonderful. But I did the work for him. Doesn't mean I get to not handle his triggers for him. And I stayed calm this morning, but this morning, my 4-year-old we were getting ready, and she was downstairs getting ready because her room is downstairs and our room is up here. And she got the ladder out of the closet very quietly. And she put it next to the counter, and she climbed all the way up to the top where it should be out of 4-year-old hands. And she got a big bag of Easter chocolate and ate the entire thing at 7. Yeah, she had an entire bag of chocolate at 7 a.m. So the question is, if you are here, do you know the thing? You know, you got to stay calm. You know, you got to like, oh, this actually has to be neutral. Are you now translating it over into your real life moments when your daughter eats an entire bag of chocolate at 7 in the morning? So we're coming from 3 worlds probably in this space. And I want you to know that you're not lost. I think we're just caught. We get caught in between identities and between containers, because at the end of the day, it was not about finding a container that fit for you. It was about creating the container within yourself. You know, the kingdom is within and among you, but you have to build it within first. And so the church maybe has felt too rigid. It's very much like you got to do this now. It's very much obedience oriented, isn't it? The spiritual space can sometimes feel very expansive but ungrounded. And that was my impression, anyways, when I went like really deep into some of these breathwork containers, was that I just felt like it was so expansive that there was no structure, and I just didn't feel really held. It didn't feel real. I didn't understand how to like, okay, I can go and do this awesome breathwork session and have basically a psychedelic experience while I'm breathing heavily. But then how does that translate over to my real life? What do I do with this? How do I bring it home? Or maybe you're coming from the secular world where it's efficient, it's hollow, it functions, but it never felt like home. Because again, the home is what we built in here. Yeah. The real problem is, this is not a belief problem. You don't lack understanding. You lack the capacity to stay inside what's true when life actually activates you. When an entirely different kind, this is an entirely different kind of training, because it's about expanding your capacity. And almost no one teaches that. Almost no one teaches like, okay, this is the thing, but how do we show up in real life? Because to be honest, it's a lot. It's a lot of trigger. It's a lot of shadow work, if I'm being completely honest. It's like getting really comfortable with shadow work all the time. Like the best thing I could have possibly done at the very beginning of this is, I mean, I didn't do it, but I got a download that came in, and it was like, okay, everything is either love or fear. That's it. Let's make it really uncomplicated. Everything is a love or fear. And so in the micro moments, I'm choosing love or fear. And how do I choose more love? So if I get afraid and I get triggered, and every trigger is an opportunity to see where I actually hold a fear, and there's a part of me that wants to just be loved and held, then that spiraled me so quickly into divine union, because every little trigger is now an opportunity to come home. And I want to touch on this because the sovereignty piece is really important to me. I get people all the time in my comments or in my DMs being like, I need you to stop doing this. Can you please stop using the word Jesus? That's a very common one. It's a spell. And I'm like, if you believe that it is a spell, then it now has the authority over you. You've now become the victim. If you're the victim, you don't have sovereignty, right? The transcendence trap, because I feel like there's a lot of teachings, really, I see them a lot, and I'll just say a lot. We're not going to name any names because they're just everywhere, right? And most teachings are telling us that we need to rise above, that we need to observe the thing and just detach. They're very masculine in coded, and that doesn't bring union. It's all about dissolving the ego. And even I use that terminology. Like I said, I had an ego death. But when I say I have an ego death, I don't really think I killed my ego. I don't dissociate from it. When I have a trigger, I'm like, okay, let's meet this part of myself. And then saying like, okay, become the witness. But you can't dissociate from that. And actually, all that tells you to do is become very reactive at some point down the road when you've pretended and you've performed Zen over and over again in your life until some little thing that had nothing to do with why you're snapping in the first place made you flip out on somebody that you love. That's not how we become the word. We don't become the word by transcending the ego and dissociating from the parts of ourselves, because then they still run the show. If you don't bring the unconscious conscious, it will run the show, right? That's what Carl Jung said. Not in those, I'm paraphrasing a lot, but and honestly, this trap feels like peace at first until something real happens, until your daughter climbs the ladder and gets the bag of chocolate. It feels awesome until then. But when your nervous system starts to shut down, it can feel like peace, but that isn't peace, right? It's absence. And like I said, you now are living on a hair trigger. And when actual situations in your life are happening, then there you go, snapping at people that you don't want to be. I will say from my lived experience of doing, like, I can't even count how many hours of what I call shadow work, where I'm meeting every time I get mad at somebody activated. I'm like, okay, this is actually me, not a problem. I don't want to use the problem, but it's a part of me asking to be seen. And if I can see more parts of me, then I can live in more of a co-creative flow with the divine. I can become the A-list actor that gets to choose all the parts. And I use that in a weird metaphor way, but you can't escape what's going on here, but you can consciously choose the roles you play. And this is what was never taught. You were taught how to step back from the experience, how to reframe what you're feeling, how to return to calm after the storm, but you were never taught how to remain present inside the exact moment you would normally leave. That moment, that threshold, is the work, and it's where the work actually happens. Every trigger is an opportunity for you to become the work, like deeper and deeper, to spiral deeper, if you want to use that terminology. Yeah, Carol saying that she would like people to stop using that brick. Yes. So every trigger is an opportunity for you to be seen. And if you started to see it that way, instead of like, oh, a trigger is like, how do I dissociate from it? That doesn't solve anything. What is it trying to tell you? What part of you wants to be seen? Yeah. So becoming the word, we have, yes. So becoming the word became flesh. If the goal was transcendence, the word would not have become flesh. Let's be honest. If the goal was transcendence, why would the divine be like, I'm going right in. I'm diving right into this messy middle. I think the whole point of this is that actually we're not supposed to leave the messy middle. We're supposed to integrate and live from the messy middle. That is the whole point. It's being able to be in it and like still find joy and still be present and still, hold all your crazy children that are doing crazy things. Maybe you don't have children, but I'm sure there's other people, and still be there and still be present. And from that sovereign place, still offer sovereignty to people that would never have had it without you doing the work. We're all just walking each other home. Being in the world and not of the world. Exactly. And the word did become flesh. The answer was never to move away from the human experience. It was always to move right into it fully without escaping it. Not around, but through, like actually living in it. You experienced it today. That is where you're supposed to live from. You are the liminal space. You are the divine and the experience and the felt sense merged together in the heart. You are a reflection of that. The universe lives in your heart. You are supposed to be in that. You literally are. That is your true nature, is to live from that heart-centered place of union, to live in liminal space. Okay, we are going to have a little somatic moment where we feel into the body in a I'm leaving you with this because you can use this practice when you get triggered, right? So that's why I'm putting it here, because I really want you to experience what it feels like in your body and to actually sit with an activation. So before we get into it, I'll let you like just take a couple moments to just think of, okay, what was one time this week that was very activating? Maybe your child also ate a bag of chocolate. I don't know. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to think of a very activating thing. Maybe a creator you really love. Maybe you popped into my comments and told me to stop using a sentence because it was very triggering for you. Could you imagine if I censored everything through? I said something very controversial on one of my podcast episodes, probably like in June or July. It was a long-ish time ago. And it was that, like the trigger, the trauma informed. I'm all for trauma informed when I'm sitting here and I'm working in a container and I know, what the spaces that I'm working with and the people that I'm working with. Absolutely. I'm very cautious of that. But when we're just like out in real life, we can't be tippy-toeing. I can't tiptoe on everyone's trigger or I'm never going to open my mouth. My son, yesterday, I think it was, he's 11. He is obsessed with bullwhips. And so he's like a little mini cowboy living in Canada. We love him. And he has made one himself out of paracord. And so yesterday he's sitting there and he's like whipping it in the kitchen. And his 13-year-old sister had just played volleyball all night and she was exhausted. And she's like, "Can you please stop?" And he's like, "Why?" And she's like, "I find that so annoying." And I was like, oh, I'm just sitting there listening. And then he comes up to me. He's like, "Mom, do you find whips annoying? Do you find the noise annoying?" And I was like, "Sometimes." And he was so taken aback and he just like didn't understand how something that brought him so much joy, and like for her, she also didn't understand how something that she found so annoying would bring him so much joy. And we are sitting here in this place where we just think everyone has the same lived experiences and thinking that everyone is triggered by the same things for the same reasons and that everyone enjoys the same things for the same reasons. And really the work is going inwards so that I told him, because he gets very triggered very easily. Like he's very sensitive to sound specifically. And I'm like, it's the same thing as you, like when your sister's doing whatever, you get upset and you freak out. You even like go downstairs and hide in your room. Same thing. We all think that everyone is triggered by the same things. And really the work is not being worried about the people around you, but going into what is the trigger really telling you? Because it's not telling you what you think. It was never about the word. It was never, not the words that we're talking about becoming flesh, but the words that it was triggering. It was never about the person. There's something else living underneath. Thank you, Carol. I will take lovely compliments. I am almost 40. I'll be 40 in a couple years, so I will take that. Thank you. Yeah. So hopefully you guys have had a couple moments and you've come up with something while I go on my beautiful rants. And we're going to go back into the body. So finding yourself a nice, comfortable seated position again. I invite you to just softly close your eyes, or you can just soften your gaze. We're gonna put one hand on our chest for this one. We're going to take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Again, inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. One more time. We are not trying to change anything. We're just arriving back in the body. And now I want you to bring to mind that one moment from this past week where something activated you. Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe it's a message. Something someone said. A moment where you just felt really off and reactive, uncomfortable, maybe reacting to something that you wouldn't typically react to. Nothing extreme, just something that real, something that actually happened in your life this week. If we know anything about astrology, this week was really good for shoving relational patterns in our face. We're going to step back into that moment like it's happening again. I want you to bring to mind what was said. Whatever it was, voice or message. And begin to notice, what did you feel in that moment? What happened in your body? Now, instead of thinking about it, I want you to bring your attention into your body. Where do you feel it? Chest, stomach, throat. Maybe it's your jaw. Is it tight? Is it heavy? Is it buzzing? Just notice how it feels. If it had a texture where it's located, what would it be? Is it rough? Is it soft? Is it heavy? Maybe you start to bring to your awareness if it has a certain color. If this particular emotion that's living in your body, is it moving? Is it still in motion, or is it sitting there still? And this time, instead of trying to fix it or create a story around it, we're just going to stay with it. And this might be the moment where you usually leave yourself, where you react, where you override or explain it away. But right now, you're staying. We're going to breathe into it, really bringing the attention and awareness into that spot with each deep breath. Not to get rid of it, just to witness and stay. Nothing here today needs to be solved. You might notice when you stay with it that it does start to shift not because you fixed it, because you stopped believing it. Slowly come back into your body. Maybe wiggling your fingers, your toes, rolling your neck, slowly opening your eyes back up whenever you're ready. And that right there, that is the work. Not understanding it, not explaining it away when something happens, but staying with it. You don't become the Word made flesh in meditation. You become it in the moment you would normally abandon yourself, and you don't. And for a lot of us, maybe here today, what just came up wasn't just activation, maybe it was shame. And shame is the main reason that people leave themselves. And if you notice that, you do have the Shame to Sovereignty recording that you can listen to. You know, the idea that meditation is going to fix it all, it's not in the meditation. It's in bringing the meditation into your life. When I think about how I used to meditate, like I said, I was up at 4 a.m. every morning, and I would meditate for almost an hour every morning. And I would have to do it at that time, because if I didn't do it at that time, I have 4 kids. You think I'm going to get meditation in? Absolutely not. Well, I do now, but I couldn't be interrupted. It was like it had to look perfect. It had to be this thing. I had to have absolute silence. I couldn't shut off anything. I would like need prep time to get into like the feeling, and then I would, then if somebody interrupted me, oh God, that was that, right? And so I was having, like, I was being beautiful meditation, and then sometimes my daughter would get up really early and she would come upstairs and she would come and say like, hi, mommy. And I'd be like, oh my God, Freya, go downstairs. And I'd be so pissed because I just felt so much peace. And then all of a sudden, one little moment and it was gone, just like that. And I quickly started realizing that what I had, that was the initiation point. It was like, what am I doing meditation for? Isn't the point of doing meditation to create safety so that when that happens, I don't yell at her? Now, I honestly do meditation a lot of times cross-legged on the floor with my 4-year-old in my lap. I think that's where you build up the tolerance, is realizing that that was a trigger. Why do I feel triggered? Why did I feel triggered? Because I thought it had to look a certain way. I thought it had to be perfect. I thought it wasn't about being in the messy middle. I didn't realize that the integration was the whole point. That sitting there cross-legged with this morning, literally, with my 4-year-old on me and my dog licking my face and still meditating was the actual work. It wasn't about hiding, locking the door at 4 a.m. and being able to do it in silence. That never mattered. It's what we think it's got to look like. But you got to bring it into your real life. How was that? I think Constance had a question that came through while we were doing that. When I witness how the ego can go wild and be extremely hurtful to a person or many people, I feel nausea in my stomach. Yes. The ego is a defense mechanism. I did a reel a few weeks back that was maybe a little controversial, but the idea of like the energetics of it being similar to your aura, because the way the ego works is it is a defense mechanism. So the identity that you're aware of right now, it has created mechanisms to protect it. It's like the shell that says, okay, you're aware of this identity right here, and I'm going to do everything to keep that identity safe, right? And so when we step into this work, that's where we get hit with these initiations as well, because there are moments of like, do you really want it? Like, this is where my ego is. Your ego is, or you can say aura too, if you're looking at the energetics of it. But this is where my ego is, and it's like protecting this little version of myself, and it's doing exactly the thing it's supposed to do. Like, that is its job. It's not doing anything wrong. It's protecting the version of the person that it's they're willing to see, right? If you have a lot of unconscious parts that you're just not willing to integrate and look at, then that means that ego is very tight. It's very easily triggered. It's got many defense mechanisms because it's trying to protect this small identity. Like the more you are actually aware of others and the whole and the one, and actually like merging that marriage within you in your heart, and actually not from that place just experiencing this with me and then going off and not giving a shit, not doing anything about it for the rest of your life, but actually like embodying it. The bigger you have, the more the initiations. They're not very fun sometimes for me. I feel like for me, they're literal, like car accidents. On the I Like I said earlier, Josh and I wanted to do this earlier and we did not. And that was because of a car accident of like real life initiation. I'm on a bridge and I hydroplane, and there, like, we just had snowfall and like there was ice and water and a huge puddle on this bridge, and I go sideways and I start slipping, and then I'm like fully activated in my body, like holy shit, I'm about to flip out, and like just I'm thinking like, okay, let's turn this way, let's flip the van. That's what I'm thinking. And then in my head, I'm like, wait a second, if everything is neutral, this moment where I'm about to fly off into the Atlantic Ocean has to also be neutral. Yeah. And so I'm sitting there and I like calm down and let the emotion move through me. And then all of a sudden I can hear this voice in my head that's both mine and God. And it's like so weird. And it's like, okay, turn with the turn. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like what I want to do, but fuck it. Okay. And so I turn with it. And then I then hear the voice finally, and it says, okay, you can brake now. And I brake, and I just hit the corner of my van, like a cosmetic damage. But both my kids were fine. I had my older two in the car with me. I was fine. Nobody ended up with any like pain. My son had a little pain the night of, but he was fine by the next morning. And it was the best case of a worst case scenario, because the work is, how do we bring it into real life? How do we meet our triggers? And that's what we do. That's the work that I do, is like really helping people meet them within their body, so that like increasing the capacity of holding the trigger, so that when you meet it in real life, you're not going against the turn and actually flipping your van over into the Atlantic Ocean. Instead, you're doing a 540 in the middle of a bridge, maybe trying to get on the Italian job Canada. I don't know. All right, let's see what we got here. We've only got a couple of slides left for you. So what does embodiment actually looks like? I mean, I've already told you many examples of what embodiment actually looks like. But it's not performing serenity for others. You know, you don't pretend that you're Zen, and then because you're out there, and then you come in here and you're fully activated and you're snapping at your husband and your child and your friends, and that's not it. It's not managing reactions from the outside. It's not managing the reactions of others either. It's not appearing regulated while feeling nothing. It's not dissociating from real life. But it's the capacity to remain present inside the exact moment you would normally abandon yourself. Doing a 540 on a bridge, the Atlantic Ocean on one side, and a bunch of transport trucks on the other. It's not the absence of activation, it's a changed relationship to it. It's having the capacity to hold it. All right, so that leads us into, do you want to expand this container? We have created an amazing 6-week container, and we will be doing just this. We will be going through, and the whole point of becoming the word is to increase the capacity of holding these things, of being able to actually integrate and actually become the word, actually have real life initiation moments where you're present and coming back to neutrality and able to live from that beautiful guided co-creative presence. We'll be going through, like I said, 6 weeks, the word revealed, truth reframed as internal and lived, the embodiment shift, the body as a conduit, the nervous system as a messenger, I'm going to quickly go over this because I talk too much. So devotion in action, living as the word. And the way these containers work is the same way if you were in Jung and Jesus. I'm not going to steer from that that layout because it worked so well. I remember having it downloaded like 2 days before we started the container, and I was like, Juan, we have to change everything. And what we will be doing is you'll be getting 3 pieces. You'll be getting a logos, a mind piece of understanding what we're doing. You'll be getting an embodiment piece that you can do on your own, a shorter one, and then a full integrative live coaching and a longer integrative piece. So right now we're opening the cart after this, and we will be doing a coupon code, which I think Josh will let you know what it is because I don't remember. And if anyone was sitting here and they were like, okay, I actually can't feel thing and I don't feel safe to feel, that is information. Everything in life, every activation, everything is information for you. We really have to come back. I know people don't like this, but like non-duality is realizing that the initial thing that happens to you, the good or the bad or whatever, the initial me initially sliding and hydroplaning, that instant in time is neutral until I assign it meaning. And I get to either stay neutral and be in that divine flow, or I get activated and Lord knows what happens at that point. But it's then assigning meaning based on stories, based on unconscious parts of ourselves. So if you feel like you're not ready for the capacity, if you feel like you need a foundation, we also have Worthy of Union. Like I said, I realized after the fact that I had literally spent the last 10 years doing self-worth and self-love and self-compassion and coaching it to women for 10 years. And then I was like, maybe that's why this awakening into like non-duality and actually embodying it in real time actually happened so quickly for me, because I had already laid the foundation. So if this is something that speaks to you, we also have this beautiful course. It is self-paced. We already have week 1 up, and we'll be just dropping 1 week at a time over the next 6 weeks, just so it doesn't get overwhelming, because this kind of work cannot be rushed. You need to actually do it. You need to embody it. You need to let it digest. You need to be you need to be in the book of Revelation, eating the scroll and actually letting it digest in your belly. And that shit, like even the book of Revelation, it didn't feel good, right? So I think that's pretty much where we're at. The faith is still there. You didn't lose your faith. You outgrew the container it came in. And the longing is still there, the sense that something real is possible. And I'm telling you, it is so possible. And I'm not special. I remember thinking at the beginning of this, the reason why, and I remember thinking I was like chosen, but we're all chosen. And I remember saying this, like, we're all chosen. We are all chosen for this. But I really felt like at the end of the day, the reason why I was sitting here and I was actually like, okay, this is the path I chose. It's going to be so fun. Thank you for choosing this, soul. And the reason why I felt like so called that I was in this is because, like, if I can do this work as a mother of 4 with 3 dogs and 2 cats in absolute chaos, you can do this. I'm telling you, it is for everyone. You just have to be willing to do the beautiful integrative work. And it is beautiful. The messy middle, living from that liminal space, learning to love the chaos, like not the chaos, but yes, the chaos, is stunningly beautiful to live from. Actually realizing that the whole time was to integrate the ego and that divine spark within you, that to live in that beautiful marriage, that is a beautiful place to live from. And I'm telling you, it is not just for me. Josh, I answered questions throughout this, so I don't know if you have a couple that you think I should drop into here before we end. Jess, if you've been on any of my calls, I'm good at talking. And lived experience out the butt that you didn't even realize you wanted. It's like spiritual stand-up and coaching and love at the same time.
It's deeply entertaining and fun to just be on with you, Jessie. I really appreciate. Thank you so much for this presentation. I just want to say to you, Jessie, with these friends as witnesses, that the amount of ideas and inspiration and creation that is like coming through you right now, I feel honored to help to structure it and put it into form. And if you're watching this, you felt something today, and you want to go further in your own spiritual walk in and toward your own spiritual sovereignty, the invitation is here. I just put the sign up link is on the screen. I will drop in our email address in a moment as well. For if you have any questions, you can drop your questions right now in the chat. Whether it's about the course or anything that Jessie shared, I just want to encourage chat, open up right now and let us know what you're thinking, and offer Jessie some love, because she has put so much into this. And the invitation is for you to come in for 6 weeks. And as Jessie said, we have a coupon code there, Word 444. So instead of 555, it's 444 for the 6 weeks. And that includes, Jessie, if you want to, I would encourage you outline. This isn't just once a week, right? It's not just like one piece of recorded content that drops once a week. This is something that I would call a deeply meaningful immersion, where we are walking each other home together, and with you as our guide.
Yeah. Exactly. I think there's a couple people asking day and time, and I think I'm going to lock in the same date and time, like the Thursdays. We will be starting on the week of the 13th. So you would get it isn't definitely an immersion. It's like, I believe I already have week 1 ready to go in there. And it was like a 45-minute lecture, or we have module 0. So there's a bonus in module that I came through, and I was really explaining, because I feel like it's hard to understand, am I ready for capacity, or am I ready for, or do I still also have to be walking the foundational path at the same time? And so there is a module 0 that's in there. And so it is one piece of content that is dropped that is around 40 minutes to an hour that you can drop. You can listen to, you can, put your headphones on whenever. Then there's a embodiment piece that, again, you do on your own. And then there's a full immersion where on the Thursdays we'll meet live.
And that module 0 is something that as we're creating this, and you're getting clarification on the timing, going through initiations. I am as well. I've got this sinus thing going on for 3 weeks, and I'm just kind of getting over it now. But things have been intense, right? And as we have kind of come together and said, let's follow the inspiration and put this into being, the challenges have come, but here we are today. And that's just the way it works, is like the universe saying, do you really want this? And I really want this. We really want this. And so the invitation just to be with Jessie for these 6 weeks, it is really significant, really valuable. I'd encourage you to sign up if you're feeling it. There is also a split payment option of 2 different payments on 2 different months. And I want to touch on the Worthy of Union Module 0 that you mentioned is in there right now for people.
Yeah.
Those of everyone who signs up right now, immediately you have access to Module 0, which is the basis of the parallel course called Worthy of Union. It's kind of like a miniature version or an intro of the Worthy of Union course that has been added in to this 6-week journey for Becoming the Word. So the main course is called Becoming the Word. The optional parallel course is done for you. It's a self, what is it called? Like you kind of self-paced.
Yeah.
So Worthy of Union is a self-paced course, and content's going to be continued to dropped in there. And I'll just do a quick share screen on this so people can understand.
I wish I could pin posts, because somebody just said they're going to massage your ego because you're as handsome as ever. I agree. Who else wants to help make Josh blush today? I think he needs it. So I'll drop in the chat how handsome he is.
Thank you, Constance. I appreciate you very much. I'm so glad to see that you're on here. I'm so glad that you're meeting Jessie as well. A number of good friends on here. Hi, Via, as well. Oh, this is great. So Worthy of Union, an optional parallel 6-week course for those who want to solidify their foundation of identity and worthiness. This is the piece. I think, Jessie, that one of the reasons why the Becoming the Word course was delayed was because this piece needed to
Mm,
come in, because so many of us are
mhm,
going through this core identity shifts, right? And like, how do we actually, like, the mind might ask it, like, how do I actually convince myself fully and completely of my worthiness? But it's not
mhm,
through us forcing it. And affirmations are great, and the mental realm is great. We need those tools, but there's a deeper embodiment experiential thing that accelerates even when we come together and do this in a container like this. So as far as I know, no one else is doing this. This is very a unique and cutting edge, leading edge expression, I think, of source. So you'll
I'm
get
just going
module
by the seat of
zero.
my pants.
Yeah, and you're creating, and we're putting it into form, and I love this. I'm here for this. So you'll get a module zero, a summation of the first part of Worthy of Union. That's included for free when you sign up for Becoming the Word.
Mhm,
And if you want to go deeper, here's the 6-week itinerary for Worthy of Union, the self-paced course, and it says down here, it's $144 for Becoming the Word participants instead of 444. So both courses are 6 weeks in duration. Becoming the Word is going to really solidify the foundation in identity and belief. I'm here for it, not only like, you know, co-hosting and being part of this content and the presentation of it at times. Like this is
mm,
Jessie is the leader and I'm the support here. Let's be clear about that. But I'm here also to experience this with you. I'm in this. If you saw that clip from Monday from the breath work that we did, I'm in this with you. There are no experts here. And if you, like me, are strengthening your deeper level identity of who actually are we, right? And how
mhm,
can we feel more of who we are and that connectedness? And even when we get into separative consciousness, learning not to judge ourselves. That's a big one for me. And just the way that you are, Jessie, is helping me so much in that. Just the inviting, like everything, whatever wants to arise is welcome here. I don't know about you
mm,
guys, but like having a container where not only is the pathway like streamlined and like accelerated and potent, but it just feels safe and warm and inviting and even humorous at times. So this is Jessie, this is
mm.
why I reached out to you and I'm like, can I please promote what what you want to do in the world?
I didn't even know what I wanted to do in the world, so I was like, ah. But I already had all these things that I was like, wasn't ready. And then, yeah, we started writing a book, and then here we are, just doing the fun thing. There's Ava that's asking a question about when you say you meditate, could you share what that actually looks like for you? Are there specific practices or traditions that you follow? To be honest, I am literally led by the seat of my pants. I have done many different forms of it. At the beginning, I really resonated with like the blessed energy centers from Joe Dispenza, that kind of meditation where you're like really focusing in on the energy, but I didn't resonate with the way, like the verbiage of it. So I actually ended up writing my own and recording it. So I was like listening to my own voice and meditating in that way. Um, Now I don't really um use guided. Sometimes I do. Like sometimes I feel called where I'm like, oh, there's this really big thing that I need to move through. And I typically create my own guided meditations. Um, but usually I will just like sit deep breaths, like very long box breaths, like 10-second in, 10-second hold, 10-second out, 10 seconds before the next one. And I'll do like a round of 7 of them, focusing in my energy, like up the central channel one by one. And then from there, um, just going into nothingness, allowing the thoughts to come in, witness them, and yeah, just whatever's flowing through. I also really do love Kundalini yoga, if I'm being honest. It's something that I don't do all the time, but it's something that um, I do enjoy. I'm also in that practice of like the longer box breath before meditation is a self realization practice. So I am also studying that right now. I love everything, to be honest. I like to say I'm Frankensteining myself back together through every tradition and timeline. And I think the big difference for me when I went from being a Catholic, which I didn't say that, but um, to then being in a non-denominational, which was like very evangelical, if we're being honest, church, to then being like, oh, let's deconstruct, is I didn't deconstruct. When I had this experience with Jesus, with Yeshua, I went into a reconstruction all the right away. Like I went into, let me find God in everything. And I went to like, okay, show me where I can feel God. And I just like read all these sacred texts and I did like, I've tried everything that just felt like excitement and like expansion in my body. And I mean, I go through waves of like, I really like doing this, I really like doing that, but it's just, I make sure that I'm spending some sort of time with myself and with God every day. And it looks different every day, but I typically do some sort of meditation every morning. I think it's a beautiful way to start my morning.
I don't know if you already saw Laura's question here or
Oh, no, I
comment.
didn't. Oh, thank you, Justin, Jesse, thanks for keeping it real with your experiences. I love your phase messy middle, as that is where most of us live, but don't want and know how to dwell there. Once we achieve that, we are truly saying we live in unity with ourselves. Yes. Yes, creative. I love the creative messy middle. It is my favorite. Do you intentionally work with what some traditions call the sacred? I've never even heard of that. If I'm being, oh wait, yes, I have. I do not. I so relate to your statement. You didn't lose your faith. You outgrew the container it came in. Yes. Yeah. I think like at the end of the day, like I said, we are all just here walking each other home, and it can be really fun. It can be so fun once you get to that beautiful union within yourself. When like I don't know if Josh can speak to this, but I felt like it was very fun creating this space. I am very much like there's a reason why when these containers are pushed back a little bit, even with what I create with one and what we created here, I always know there's a reason why. Like even looking at my car accident, it was because like I left my Costco cart. I had to turn around. I was 20 minutes late. Had I been 20 minutes earlier, I probably would have been hit by a transport truck because it was lunchtime and it's the only highway through New Brunswick. Like I would have been gone. So I've come to the realization really to live in that flow, and like when something is making me late for an event or a launch that is for a reason. And I really do believe like what has been coming through now in this moment, there is a reason, because there were so many lessons that have come through over the last couple of weeks that I'm like, oh, this needs to be in here in this way. And I'm just here being led by the seat of my pants.
Jessie, I want to ask you a couple things. The first is, can you talk about, you mentioned it's not just once a week drops, but talk about the release schedule or the course schedule for each of the 6 weeks.
Yeah, so Monday you will get a longer like a lecture piece where it's not really lecture. It'll still have my awesome humor that you guys are really just coming for. And then on Tuesdays, you'll have a little embodiment practice. The Monday will also drop a workbook. Some of them will be longer, some of them will be shorter, and you'll have journaling prompts and self-reflection to do throughout the week. And then the shorter embodiment piece could be a body scan. It could be like we have a bunch of fun, beautiful ones to do that we're going to be doing. And then the Thursday would be a live call. That live call will have a little tiny teaching, just kind of whatever's moving through. I'm very intuitive when it comes to that kind of live call. It's like whatever is I feel like is ready to come out and ready to be talked about, I talk about. And then having a longer integrative practice, kind of like the one that we did today, but it was specifically for the teaching that week. But obviously longer. And then we'll have like a coaching where you'll have opportunities to bring forward what's coming through and have like some hot seat coaching as well on Thursdays. What do I mean by Christ-centered Reiki? I could tell I have a whole, I haven't really created it, but when this was coming through, I had like a whole certification. Maybe you're, Naomi, hit me up. Maybe you're the one that's supposed to help me birth it into the world because I have everything. I just never did it. Hit me up.
Can you talk about, if someone was to ask you what are, if I take this course, what transformation can I expect? I mean, your whole presentation kind of,
Mhm.
you know, loosely painted a quite a clear and beautiful picture, but to, you know, to whittle it down, to kind of distill it, what are the transformations that people have already had in your other courses, and what specifically can they expect with this?
Actually embodying what people call non-duality, or actually embodying becoming the word, like not just talking about it. And I think we see a lot of like spiritual teachers who talk about it and they're like, oh, actually, you know, this is we're all one and we're all that, but then the next moment they're like, oh, but this is the villain and the church is the problem and this is that. But like nobody can be the villain. That was like a big realization. And I think it was in module 0 that I talk about it, but I'll touch briefly. When I was reading the Gnostic text in the summer, I had this like validating moment where I picked up the secret book of John, and it was Yaldabaoth and it was the demiurge and the archons and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I was right about all of this. I'm like, oh my God, they're worshiping the devil. They're worshiping the devil. And I felt so validated. And I was like, oh my God. I like posted a TikTok because at that time I didn't have the courage to do it on Instagram. And I'm like, this is it. Like I found the answer. And then like 2 days later, I read The Nature of the Rulers, which is very similar in story. And I'm like, it felt different in my body. The validation gone. And I was like, why do I feel like something is off? And then I sat there and I was like, well, I'm sitting here talking about non-duality and talking about love and talking about how it's love or fear. And I'm like, I can't be afraid. Like I have to choose love in everything. Like if we are all one and I had to choose love and compassion for everything, does that not mean I also need to integrate the archons and the demiurge and the Yaldabaoth and like all these quote unquote demons that are attacking me? And I sat with that and I was like, well, like if I have to integrate those pieces of myself, if I am part of the whole and I am like aware of the whole, then nothing can be worse than the evil demon that created this. Because it's
So
part of me.
by distilling that, it's like, how does that show up in myself? Where am I, uh, you know, psychotic and controlling, or what part of me,
Yeah.
or where have I had capacity to do those things, to another? Maybe
Mm,
not to that extent, maybe
yeah.
not like, you know, on a global
Yeah.
scale or whatever we're seeing, but really just internalizing that, because when we
Mm,
kind of remove this veil of delusion that we are holier
mhm,
than thou, you know, um, we are holy, but we are human at the same time.
mhm,
There's light and there's dark. There's conscious and unconscious. And for
mhm,
me, like, this is the precipice I'm on. And I think many of us are seeing what's going on in the world and being totally like just mind blown, even if we've been
mhm.
paying attention for a long time, like with the release of the Epstein files, for example, right? So the
Yeah.
way that that was done in such a way to basically, in my view, this is my personal perspective, to it's a psychological operation designed to overwhelm you with information, to put the onus of responsibility onto you,
Mhm,
the viewer of this insane shit show in this world, and to subtly communicate that they're not willing to do anything about it, to go in the direction of any enforced accountability, right? It
mhm,
hasn't that been the message? And isn't the message underneath of that psyop one of not getting more angry about what's out there in the world and not in my
mhm,
control? That's kind of the direction that they want us to go, right? But it's coming back to here and actually participating in reconciliation and love and being the
mhm.
world breaker and invoking the
Yeah.
kingdom of heaven. Didn't Yeshua teach us that? You know, and I don't know if we have time here, but I really got into the Aramaic of Yeshua's prayer,
Mm,
the Lord's Prayer, and from Neil Douglas Klotz, right? And
Hmm.
And then understanding the English translation of that as well. It's actually, it's right here. It's on my wall. The retransliteration of the Lord's Prayer, when you look at the Aramaic language, and which was the language that Yeshua spoke and taught in, it's amazing. It opens up so much. And I know many of you watching this are familiar with that. But isn't it about coming in here, invoking, bringing heaven here? And that's where
Hmm.
all of this anxiety and hopelessness and powerlessness can have a chance to
Hmm.
fundamentally be
Hmm.
transformed and be alchemized. For me,
Yeah.
this is what, like, and I'm not fully there. Like, I'm at
But
the
you
precipice.
understand it up here.
I
You
understand it conceptually.
understand
That's
it,
the
and
best
now
way to
it's
call
bringing it
it.
into the body, right? Like that's
Yeah,
why you're here.
that's
You
right.
understand what has to be done, and now we actually need to do the thing. We actually need to create the capacity in the body so you can hold that. But yes, you're right. It's not about like we did this in Threshold, and I brought up the airstrikes. Like I didn't bring up the Epstein files in that one, but I brought that up and I was like, okay, what part of you is capable of that?
Hmm.
Silence, right? Like, what part of me is capable of bombing another country? That's not what I'm asking. What part of you is capable of taking preemptive strikes because you're afraid someone will hurt you first?
Yeah. I mean, we do it
Because
all the
we
time in
all,
a relationship. Those that are closest to us, we do micro versions of that, right? Because we're not,
mhm.
what would you say? Because we're not embodied presence.
Because we don't look at the shadow, like the unconscious pieces of ourselves. True forgiveness is your ability to look at yourself and say, I'm also capable of that. Because you can only not judge another soul by its worst expression if you're capable of seeing the capacity within yourself to do it as well in some spectrum.
What about this question?
What do we do with those parts? It's not about changing them, it's about witnessing them, and it's about holding the capacity within yourself that, okay, this exists in me. I'm capable of this thing. I'm capable of that. And if I'm like, if you, it's when you can see it, then when you go into that moment and you're in reaction, then you're like, okay, I'm capable of this thing. It's kind of also looking at like the what's happening and I'm just a witness because I'm in Canada, but what's happening in the United States with whatever's happening. And you're sitting here and you're like, what, even the strikes, the airstrikes getting to the point where they're at. We as constituents that are unwilling to look at our unconscious pieces that are capable of that, we're always saying, I could never do that. And when you say, I could never do that, when you go to make a monumental decision and you're playing out the scenarios of what could happen, you could never do that bad thing. It's not even on your radar. So now your unconscious is actually ruling and running the show. And you're making decisions that lead to the I could never without even realizing because you said I could never.
Because you're in judgment of those parts of you that are represented in yourself like that.
Exactly.
So Yeshua's teachings, judge not lest you be judged. I mean, we're just experiencing, we're almost like forced to experience this in real time, aren't we?
We surely are. Isn't it fun? It's so fun.
Sometimes I'm on the wave and sometimes I'm under the wave. I'll just be honest.
That's fair. That's part of it, right? Like you have to be under the wave sometimes because being under the wave allows you to see the next part of your like the next part that needs to be seen. I think the reality of it is the way like Christ consciousness or the actual embodiment of being the word is. It's not that I'm all of a sudden I'm awesome, no, nothing's ever going to trigger me again, but the ability to bridge heaven to earth and be that center, that where I get triggered and I come back to alignment and that divine union marriage within myself becomes faster and faster. So right now it could take weeks where I'm triggered and it takes me weeks to figure out this thing. But the more I do it, then it takes days and then it takes hours and then it's instantaneous where you don't even notice most of the time that you're being triggered because you have built the capacity to feel the emotion, to allow it to move through you, to not create a narrative around it that now is an identity.
Yeah, wow. I mean, it's clear when you see it and when you can experience that for yourself. We can't really
Mhm.
teach anything to effectively, like, I mean, to actually teach someone else another thing that is this
They have,
meaningful, they have to experience it themselves. Like, I have
yeah.
to experience this myself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I could tell you all day long. And that's literally how my knowings have been is like I'll get a revelation and I'll be like, oh my God, like, what do you mean sin isn't real? And then I'll be driving down the road and I feel this like full emotion, full bodied, like, oh my God, God is like so loving and happy when like we misalign in some way because it's bringing us back into alignment. You know, like the us trying to launch this thing and then I get in a car accident and actually that's a misalignment. That's a sin, right? I missed the mark, definitely. I may not have missed the mark right over the bridge, but I missed the mark in some way that it got to that point where it was like, I actually need to tell you you're not ready to do this yet. And God is like, yes, great, amazing. You crashed your car. That's so good because now you're taking a second to go within and come back to me and come back to alignment and come back to the highest purpose that you were living. And so, yeah, at the end of the day, you can know it up here, but until you feel it in the body. And this work is about bringing those experiences into the body. So hopefully you have less initiations, but you're still going to have them. You know, you're still going to have the ego come in. Like, do you really want this? Do you actually want to embody this?
Okay, I got one for you. How do I go? How do me, like me personally, how do I go from
You, Josh.
conceptually forgiving myself and someone else, because I find that so related, right? It's just we're always projecting. We're like projecting
Mm-hmm.
machines, especially me. I'm a projector in human design. How many projectors out there in human design? I want to hear from you. We got some unique stuff going on. But
Mm-hmm.
we're always projecting, right? Like as without, so within, as above, so below. How can I bring the conceptualized um, forgiveness to actually experiencing that and actually forgiving rather than like leaving it in the mental space?
Actually forgiving others. You
And
have to,
myself.
yes, that's the thing. It starts there. And that's why the worthy of union piece is important because it doesn't start. You can't actually forgive someone until you're capable of forgiving yourself, of not having judgment. Yeah. Um, Carol's also asking, mm, as Christ beings, haven't we also the obligation to speak up against actual abuse of our brethren in the world? I think that's, I don't know how to like talk about this one because I feel like it's such a nuanced topic. But I guess that's the capacity that I hold is like, can I live in the paradox? Um, well, first of all, did Jesus like tell murderers and prostitutes and everything that they were bad? If I'm looking at the teachings of Yeshua, I think the only thing that he truly called out was hypocrisy, where you say you're doing this thing and you're not doing the thing. He called out misalignment of values and actual integrity. Are you walking the walk? And I think hypocrisy to me is like you have sinned over and over again, which sin being missing the mark, not listening to the way the divine speaks within you. You've done it over and over again, and now like it's blatantly obvious to everyone that you're a hypocrite. And I feel like that's, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is the only thing that he truly called out. And I'm not saying, I understand where we're coming from, where we're like, oh my God, this thing is happening. But I think going back to what you said about the Epstein files is like in the PSYOP situation and all these things is it only becomes a PSYOP if you allow it to become a PSYOP. You still have absolute power and sovereignty over what's happening. Are you going to allow it to let you spiral? Or are you going to come back into alignment and like focus in on here right now and you? What can you do with yourself? How can you embody this in your actual life? Because you're not going to embody it in your actual life if you are like a lot spinning out over this, crashing out over it. Um, and so coming back into that alignment within ourselves. And because we think about this, right? Like think about what's in the Epstein files, right? And if you are so stuck to your phone watching every new update, and you're like, oh my God, like look what's happening here, look what's happening there. And now you don't actually see that the neighbor across the street is actually, he's kidnapping children. He's just kidnapped a child right in front of you and he put him in the basement. Or you're at the park with your kids and you don't notice that some mom down there just like hit her child, because you're
'Cause you're
so consumed
yeah.
with what's happening out there that you're actually not making the difference within yourself and within your community that you can make. So it's also coming back to not spinning out in that, like, yes, totally. And for some of us, though, like, it's also in that alignment. Can you see, is that something that I'm here to be doing? Because for some of us, yes, that's not something I'm here to be doing. I know that. I know in my alignment, I'm not the person that's meant to do that. I'm the person that's sitting here that's meant to help you come back to yourself so that you can figure out, because I'm not going to tell you what you're supposed to do, where your alignment is and where you're supposed to be putting that attention. Because we all have very beautiful and unique missions here. But it's probably not what you think it is. Probably not attached to your phone figuring that out. Although it might be for Josh. I don't know. Josh has some good ideas there.
For me, a lot of it's just trusting myself on the ideas that I get and bringing them to the next phase, and coming back to the embodiment
Mm-hmm.
practices, the breathing, the praying, the choice to forgive and to be okay with what comes up, and that my best is always good enough. That's to really just remind myself that. I have on the screen here just the email, our support email. Jessie and I see both of those. So there are people that have already come into the course, Jessie, and there's people that are on the call here. There's still many, many people on the call. And I want to ask you, how would you meet them if they are kind of on the fence about making a commitment to themselves and the next evolution of their beingness and their embodiment through the Becoming the Word course? What would you say to somebody that is kind of on the fence and maybe the finances are a concern, or if they have other things that kind of they're thinking about this, but they're not maybe quite fully decided as of yet?
Yes, that is. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we're always talking ourselves out of it. The question is your ego talking you out of it? Or we had an experience this week where it was just, I've had many experiences where, like, I want to do the thing, and then, like, that little excuse comes up and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do it. Is that your ego keeping you small? Because you will have an initiation, and some of you will have that initiation right here. And we're always at the threshold of, like, am I actually ready to walk the walk? And for some of you, you're not, and that's okay. That's okay to not be ready for it. But for some of you, you're standing at that door and you're like, I understand it up here, but what she's saying is a little triggering. That's the point. That is the point. The trigger is the doorway. So if you're triggered, it's probably telling you exactly what you should be doing right now. Is there a way to make it appreciate? I don't know that there is. Yeah. I
Email
don't know
us.
that.
But yeah, we're not looking for donations. We want to bring the value of the course.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, I always end all of my courses, and maybe, or not my courses, my reels, and maybe we'll end this as well, as, like, I'm not here to be believed. At the end of the day, all I want to do is show you something that you haven't thought of yet, something that you haven't questioned yet. It's your job to spiral off of it, right? Like, my path is not going to be your path. It's going to be, I will be that container, and I love answering questions. I love giving my opinions, but I also know, like, one of the truest and deepest initiations I had for myself, which allows me to really feel like, hey, I don't know the absolute truth. Like, obviously I've spiraled through very many layers of it in the last year, is I did a reel and someone posted it to their story and they were like, this explains this, this, and that. And I was like, oh, that is the opposite. And then I was like, you know what? Literally no one is ever going to believe me. No, not like believe me, but they're not going to understand what I am saying to its absolute degree, because it's coming through my lived experience, and it's coming through the language that I use, and it's coming through my crazy jokes, and it's coming through, like, all these things. Like, it's coming through Jess. It's not coming through you. So you're going to receive it and you're going to take with it. You're going to take it as you need to in this moment. Maybe it's complete and absolute resonance. Amazing. Maybe it's a trigger that is a doorway. Also amazing. But the moment I release the expectation of like, I can't be the one that tells you exactly what to do. You know, look at Zen Buddhism saying, if you see Buddha on the road, kill him, or you will do greater things than I, which is what Jesus said. It's all about the fact that at the end of the day, you should surpass whoever you're learning from, because you were never meant to learn what they were learning.
And to me, that's a hallmark of a worthy teacher, a worthy guide. You know, someone who isn't looking for a lifetime follower.
Yeah. You'll hate me one day. That's okay. No, you won't, because you will have learned to love everything and everyone.
Well, we're over time. I want to
Very
thank
much so.
everyone. Yeah, I want to thank everyone for being on this call. This has been amazing. This tremendously valuable masterclass and experience. This is just a taste of the course. If you resonate with it, on the screen you have the sign up link. Sorry, it's not clickable, but you know how to type or tap, so it's okay there. And like I mentioned earlier, email us with any questions, and we look forward to those of you with whom this resonates. You know it, right? You
And
feel,
maybe it triggered you, you know it.
and maybe it triggered you, and maybe there's the knowingness and the trigger at the same time. And you know, follow the knowingness. And whether you do this course or not, on behalf of Jessie, I just wish you the deepest, richest blessings of the true Christ who holds us at this auspicious and deeply challenging time in the world right now. But we are here for a purpose. And some of us have yet to really unearth our purpose. And we, a paradox, unearth our purpose by coming more into the body, into the earth of our body, the elements of our body. And then we can realize and have the resources and even the community around us that we have something that wants to be birthed. And it's not wanting to be birthed from an egoic, from a forcing place, from a pushing, using the world's quote rules to be, more forceful that way. It comes from embodiment. And the more that I tap into guides like yourself, Jessie, and others that are teaching this true way, that just becomes revealed, that it's about, first and foremost, our identity shift and relationship internally with ourself, with God, who we really are. And then from there, what are we here to do? So Jessie, if you have any closing words, I would invite them now. And I'm thankful for this opening of this container, and the flourishing of however it unfolds from here is going to be amazing.
It's going to be fun. I just want to say how much I appreciate each and every one of you for giving us 2 hours of your time. It has been an amazing evening. And just thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate all of you for being here. And remember, I'm not here to be believed. I'm just here to show you what you haven't questioned yet. Hopefully, I will see you inside of our beautiful container. If not, you know where to find us.
All right. Peace, my friends.
Bye.